Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a big one, debt consolidation. It's a strategy that can, really simplify your life and maybe even save you a ton of cash. So let's figure out if it's the right move for you. So, you know that feeling, right? You've got a stack of credit card bills, they all have these crazy high interest rates, and it just feels overwhelming. Like you're stuck on a treadmill, making payments, but the balance never, ever seems to go down. But hey, there is a way through it. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll talk about that high-interest debt trap, then how consolidation can be your escape route. We'll get into the big one, the credit score catch, then look at your options, the risks, and wrap it all up with a clear plan for you to move forward. All right, first things first, let's really dig into the problem, because it's not just about the total amount you owe, it's about this hidden cost that's really keeping you stuck in place. Okay, look at this number. This is what we're talking about. This is the real cost of debt. So imagine you've got a $10,000 credit card balance. If you take 4 years to pay that off with an APR, that's your interest rate of 24.25%, this is how much you end up paying in just interest. Yeah, over 5 grand. That's more than half of what you originally owed, just going straight into the bank's pocket. And that right there, that's the heart of the problem. It's like you're trying to bail out a boat with a teaspoon. Most of your payment is just going to interest, so the actual debt, the principal, it barely moves an inch. That's the trap. So the big question is, how do you escape that trap? Well, that brings us to a really powerful strategy, debt consolidation. So what is it really? The idea is actually pretty simple. You're basically taking out one new, bigger loan to wipe out a bunch of smaller, more expensive ones. The whole point is to end up with just one monthly payment, and this is the most important part, a lower interest rate. Let's make this real. Take a look at this example. Say you've got 20 grand in debt spread across 3 different credit cards. Now, if you consolidate that into a single loan with a much better interest rate, look at the difference. Your monthly payment drops by over $100. You slash the total interest you'll pay by more than half. And you go from juggling 3 bills down to just 1. I mean, that's a massive, massive improvement. Okay, but here's the thing. There's a catch. And honestly, this might be the most important part of this whole explainer. Not everyone qualifies for those amazing rates. It all boils down to one single number. And that number is your credit score. Simple as that. The entire plan, the whole strategy, it all hinges on your credit score. A high score is like a key that unlocks a low interest rate, and that low rate is what saves you all that money. But if your score's on the lower side, you might get an offer that's no better or maybe even worse than what you're already paying. And trust me, the difference is huge. Look at this. Someone with an excellent score might get an average rate around 19%. But if your score drops into just the good range, that rate can jump all the way up to over 26%. So here's your rule of thumb, the most important takeaway. If the new loan's interest rate is higher than the average rate you're paying now, it's a bad deal, period. You'll actually lose money. Let's circle back to that $10,000 debt we talked about. Now, if you've got that great credit score and you can lock in that 19.02% rate, look what happens. Your monthly payment goes down by nearly $30, and you end up saving over $1,300 in total interest. That's real money. And you can see the savings crystal clear right here. That gap between these two bars, that's more than $1,000 that stays in your pocket, not the bank's. And it's all because a good credit score got you a better interest rate. That's the game. Okay, so let's say your credit score is in a good spot, and you're a solid candidate for this. What are your options? Well, let's break down the main ways you can do this. First up, you've got the personal loan. This is probably the most common way people do it. A bank or a credit union gives you a lump sum of cash, you use that to pay off all your credit cards, and boom, you're left with one single predictable monthly payment. This is really perfect for anyone who just wants stability. One payment, one interest rate, and a finish line you can actually see. All right, option number 2, a balance transfer card. This is another really popular one. You get a new credit card that offers 0% interest for a set period of time, say 18 months. You move all your old high-interest balances onto this new card. Now, this can be an amazing deal, but it's for someone who is super disciplined and has great credit, because you've got to pay off that entire balance before the 0% offer expires. It's basically a race against the clock. And for homeowners, there's a third option, a home equity loan. With this, you're using your house as collateral. Basically, you're putting your house up as a guarantee for the loan. The upside? You can get some incredibly low interest rates. The huge, massive downside? You have to understand that if you can't make those payments, you could literally lose your home. So this is really only for someone with a lot of equity and a rock-solid income who gets the risk.
And that risk brings us to a really important point. We have to talk about the downsides, because debt consolidation, it's not a magic wand. There are definitely things you need to watch out for.
Okay, for starters, just applying for a new loan or card can cause a small temporary dip in your credit score. No big deal, but you should know. Also, you've got to watch out for the loan term. That's how long you have to pay it back. A lower monthly payment feels great, right? But if you stretch that loan out for, say, 7 years instead of 4, you could end up paying way more in total interest. And maybe the most important risk of all, remember that consolidation is just rearranging the furniture. It moves your debt around, but it doesn't solve the spending habits that created the debt in the first place.
Oh, and a quick word to the wise. You're going to see ads for companies that offer to do all this for you, a debt consolidation company. Be really careful here. They often charge some pretty hefty fees, both upfront and monthly. Honestly, you can almost always save a bunch of money by just going directly to a bank or credit union yourself.
Phew, okay, that was a lot of information. So after all that, what are the actual concrete steps you should take? Let's boil it all down into a super simple plan. Here we go, your 3-step action plan. Step 1, know your number. Go check your credit score. You have to know where you stand. Step 2, based on that score, get a realistic idea of what kind of interest rate you can actually get. And step 3, pre-qualify with a few different lenders. This is key. Pre-qualifying lets you see what they'd actually offer you, but it doesn't hurt your credit score. It lets you shop around for the absolute best deal without any risk.
Look, at the end of the day, debt consolidation isn't just some financial product you buy. It's a strategic move, like in a chess game. And in this game, your credit score sets all the rules. So the real question you need to ask yourself isn't just, can I consolidate my debt? The real question is, based on my score, is this the move that's going to help me win? And now you've got the tools to figure that out.